everyone. Welcome to the NFL Contest Show. I am your host, Jesse Flynn. It is week 4 of the Circa Millions contest. And we have got our 5 selections for this week's slate. We will be revealing them here shortly, along with the selection reveal from VSiN. I'll check now. It's only 6 o'clock. The VSiN release show should be coming on now, so should be any minute now. But yeah, we're 2 minutes away from halftime here in Oregon. Oh, why is that? Why did it do that? In Oregon, Penn State. There we go. And we are tied at 3. Now, my parlay that I shared on X for today's slate, 0-2 so far. Lost them both. I had Texas A&M minus the 6.5. They won by 6, and I took LSU money line. I thought their offense and defensive lines would be able to handle Ole Miss, but Lane Kiffin, he's been the darling of the media the last week. I thought maybe it was a letdown spot with all the hype they've been getting, but they got the job done. And they looked really good doing it, too. They really made their offensive line for LSU look pretty inept. They were only rushing 3 down linemen, dropping 8 into coverage, and they were still getting pressure on the quarterback, which is, no easy feat. But when you've got those kind of athletes, guys that are going to be, the Derek Brown. Well, Derek Brown played for Auburn, but guys like that they've had on their defense that have gone on to the NFL. When you have that kind of talent on your team, you can get away with only, rushing 3 guys. So, hats off to them. Florida State losing. That's a big upset of the week. That was on Friday, but they, that's going to shake up the top 10. So, can't wait to see what we got going on. But I also took Penn State minus the 3.5 and Georgia minus 2. So not looking so good. Not looking so good. I admit I am not the biggest, handicapper of college football. I do like it. I like laying down some, low money parlays, maybe $25 or whatever. Not much, but do like a 3-teamer in the morning, maybe one in the afternoon, or I'll do like the primetime games and just try to, have a little action on the games. But I definitely don't put the time in on college football the way I do with the NFL. Although with the results lately, in the Circa Millions at least, it hasn't seemed that way. Currently sitting at 6-9. 2-3 last week. Tough beat with Baltimore on Monday Night Football, but with Matabuke now going on the injured reserve with his neck injury, it really showed that Baltimore is vulnerable to a team that can just, impose their will on them with the offensive line. And, Derrick Henry, the fumbles, that'll get straightened out. That's definitely not the norm, but, it's tough. But so we are 6-9 on the season. If we can finish 10-10, I'd be happy. With the way things have started and the way things have gone these first couple of weeks, I would be more than happy with. Now, obviously, 11-9 is better. That'd be 5-0. But I would be more than happy at 50% after 4 weeks. We still got plenty of contests to go. You go back to back 5-0s from where we're sitting right now. We would be right around the top 100. We would be in that range where another good week would put us, close to the top 100. And you need to be up there. You need to be up there near. You can't keep drifting back the way I have been these, with the losing weeks 1 and weeks 3, because the guys in front are not losing right now, although they will. Little recap of last week. Let me move this. Nope, wrong one. Let's move this back to the millions last week. The standings as they are right now. First place all by himself. He is the one, is the entry. He's 14-1 right now, no undefeateds, but these are the guys that are competing for the first quarter prize because the first quarter ends after this week. It's 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks is the way it goes with 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. He is the one, 14-1. We'll be able to see what his picks are once the picks are released to see if maybe there are some people who used Seattle Thursday night, if he got a point, or if he went with Arizona and lost. But this is the money week for these guys. Believe me, I was there. I was 15-0. Was the only one 15-0, and I went 3-2 week 4. And there was 4 other entries that were within striking distance of me, and they caught me. So first place in the quarterly prizes is $170,000. Second place is $50,000. Third place is $30,000, and then you have the booby prize, last place, which is $25,000. Which I'll tell you, trying to lose is really hard. Trying to pick losers is definitely hard. But when I won, because we were tied, you add all the prize money up together and you split it amongst the entries that tied. So because there was 5 of us, it's $250,000. We each got $50,000. I got the big check in the back. I think it's kind of audacious to put it in the background, though. Maybe when I get my own studio, if I win the million. If I win the million, I'll definitely frame the check, the big check, and have the blue jacket up. But we're a long ways away from that. But so he is the one. Odd Couple sitting at 13-2. Wrenchy sitting at 13-2. And then you've got 26 entries at 12-3. Now, I have seen it in this contest where you have people like, say he is the one, just for example. He's at 14-1 right now. He could go 1-4, finish 15-5, and as great as his first 3 weeks have been, he might not even make the money. Because if one of these guys goes 5-0 or 4-1, you know what I mean? These 26 entries at 5-0 or 4-1 are sitting at 16-4, 17-3. That's a fucking awesome start to the season, and it would knock this guy out. And I've seen it happen where people are right there. They're leading in the quarterly prize, and that final week, the pressure's on. It's really, I sweated it. I had to go to the ramen shop and get some ramen soup because my stomach was like killing me. And it was like, like instead of traditional chicken noodle soup, I went with ramen because there was a great ramen shop in the Chinatown in Vegas, over there in Spring Mountain. If you're ever over there, it's pretty cool. It's all anime decorated on the inside, and the food's really good. But so, yeah, I get it. It's a stressful situation when you're the leader, you're the hunted, and everybody's trying to catch you, and you don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to waste this incredible start, even though it's put you in a great position to win over the full season. You still don't want to waste this opportunity to cash now, because 4 weeks into the season, you're sitting with, if you win it by yourself, $170,000. You know what I mean? Cha-ching, house money. That's how I looked at it, and it was the best season I've had so far. I finished in 53rd place after that incredible start of 18-2. Out of 5,000, there was like 5,200, I think, in that one. So pretty damn good. But so we're going to be keeping an eye on them when the picks are released. Circa releases the PDF of all the entries and all the picks. And we can go through, because we know the team names, and see exactly who they picked. And we will do that while we're watching this second half of the Oregon Penn State game. We've got another great game, Georgia and Alabama. I'm holding Georgia -2, so I need the dogs to step it up. It would be nice. But yeah, it's a fun spot to be in when you're leading. I'll tell you that much. It's better to be there than it is behind. But all right, we'll come back to this once the picks are released. I don't see. I can refresh VSIN real quick. on X and see if they're released anything yet. Oh, here we go. Okay. We'll do a real quick recap of this just so we can move on. Week 3 results for the Circa Survivor. We talked about this. 3,150-ish picks were eliminated. So 13,811 still remaining. It's still a lot of entries, but we're going to have one of those big loser weeks. I mean, we've seen some big numbers and some teams come close. I mean, the Bucks certainly could have been part of this catastrophe, but they got it done. But it's coming. It is definitely coming. And then we've got the Grandissimo with the $100,000 buy-in, $6.9 million to the winner. Winner takes all. Survivor contest. We had 10 eliminations last week. We're down to 58. Each entry right now is implied value of basically 119,000. So not too shabby. Not too shabby. But 100 grand to enter this contest. That's why there's only 69 entries. I don't expect it to go the full 20 weeks. We talked about that. But all right, let's get rid of this. We'll pull this up. Here we go. I'm already seeing something here. We've got the top 5. We've got the top 5. Now, I'm not surprised. I put it in my notes after the fact when it happened. The Atlanta Falcons being the number 1 pick. With all the injury news, the line shifted completely the other way. It went from Atlanta +1 at home to Atlanta -2.5 in some places. So we are I'm not totally surprised by that. What is it now? Yeah, -2.5 in some places. So the Atlanta Falcons are the number 1 pick at almost 2,000 entries out of the 5,600 or so that are in this contest. Quite a bit. A lot of people, shaking off that 30-0 shutout last week because they actually did outgain the Carolina Panthers in most of the offensive metrics. They just turned the ball over and they weren't converting on third downs. They weren't moving the ball into the red zone. Missed field goals. I mean, there was just a whole lot going on in that one. But number 1 pick at 1,950. Number 2, not surprising. This is one of the most bet sides of the week. The Green Bay Packers, -6.5. Now, in the line release show, we talked about this one, and the Cowboys -6.5 were actually one of the. It was the last pick that I eliminated, and put in my 5th pick. I knew Green Bay was going to be the popular side, but I'm just not confident in the Cowboys' pass rush. Even though Green Bay's offensive line has got some injuries, I don't see it. I mean, I know, and this is even more evidence of why you should be on the Cowboys side, but I just didn't want anything to do with it, so I got rid of it. I almost went with Green Bay, but I'm like, I know is going to be a top 5 selection, and I don't want to be in the top 5 if I can avoid it. Number 3, 1,647 people are backing the Minnesota Vikings -2.5 over in Dublin against the Steelers. Again, another heavily bet game. About 80% of the tickets were on Minnesota, according to some of the guys on X that are sponsored by these sports books or the casino giving out their betting data. Not surprising again. Minnesota looked great last week. Aaron Rodgers struggles against the blitz. Pittsburgh was very fortunate to win that game against New England. They needed 5 fumbles and they recovered all of them to win that game by a touchdown. So I'm not surprised, but Pittsburgh tends to play close games. They did go over to Ireland a little bit early, so they were there early enough to get acclimated to the time difference. So I didn't want to mess with this one again because I would have had to go with Minnesota because I agree with what I've been hearing, in the media and everything. But at the same time, if you're hearing the same thing over and over and over again from all the same people, from all the different people that are in this content arena, it seems like they're repeating the same things over and over again. When you start hearing that stuff, it's like, you know what? If everybody's saying the same thing, maybe we're not looking at the right stuff. So I left it alone, didn't touch it, and good thing I didn't because it's the number 3 selection in the Circa Millions contest. Number 4, Los Angeles Rams minus 3.5, 1,639. So just a few more or less than Minnesota. Rams looked really good at times in that game against Philadelphia. I mean, obviously, everybody, if you're a football fan, you saw the end of that Philadelphia LA Rams game with the way not only did they not win the game, blocking the punt, okay, they lose the game by 1, they would have covered because they were getting points on the road, but the guy the Carter runs it all the way back for the touchdown to blow that plus 3.5. So I'm actually kind of surprised that this many people are on the Rams, but I also think a lot of people are seeing things as the Colts, they're 3-0. They've looked good. They've kind of played some flawed competition, and the Rams by far are going to be the best team they're going to see in the first 4 weeks of the season, particularly on defense. I think the Rams pass rush can certainly get after Daniel Jones and stymie him. The only thing that concerns me about that with Daniel Jones is he is athletic. He can run. We've seen him do it before. Is like the RPOs, because the Rams kind of struggled with Jalen Hurts last week. Jalen Hurts gashed him pretty good. Saquon Barkley really didn't have that great of a game, but Jalen Hurts made up for it with some of his quarterback runs. Now, I don't consider Daniel Jones Jalen Hurts, but he can move. He is athletic. And it concerns me, but I think the Rams, having seen it, they're going to be prepared for it. They know what they're looking for, and I just like their defense. And then the offensive side, Matthew Stafford does good when he's not pressured. The Colts haven't really been getting pressure on the quarterback. I think they have 8 sacks, but a bunch of them came against the Titans, so take that how you will. They are good against the play action, which is where Matthew Stafford excels. But if you're going to give him time with Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum looked good last week, and Whittingham, if you give him time, he's going to carve you up. So I'm not sure this Colts defensive front is up to the challenge of getting pressure on Matthew Stafford, particularly in LA, where they're not going to have a big fan contingency of Indianapolis fans. If this was a New England or like a maybe an East Coast team that was coming in, or Chicago maybe, you would certainly have plenty of fans in Los Angeles, but not Indy. I don't see it. So the Rams will have they'll have noise on their side, and it'll be quiet when they're on offense. Finally, the 5th and final pick of the top 5 for Circa Millions, the Los Angeles Chargers minus 6.5, going to New York to take on the New York Giants and their new quarterback, Jackson Dart. A rookie quarterback, first start in the NFL, laying the 6.5. The Chargers have looked good. I believe they're 2-1 on the year, or maybe they're 3-0. But they, let's see if it says it on here. They are the number 5 pick. Where is it? Up here. There we go. Let me see what their record is. Oh, they are. Okay, yeah, they are 3-0. The undefeated Los Angeles Chargers taking on the rookie quarterback. Now, the New York Giants, they do have their defensive front, and the Chargers' offensive line is missing some pieces. Their defense hasn't looked terrible at times, and maybe Jackson Dart can open up this offense a little bit and, do some things that Russell Wilson wasn't doing. He's a little more athletic. They can run the RPOs. Cam Scatabo, I think he could have a big game. We could see him plowing into the offensive line, gaining yards and wearing down that defense. But the Los Angeles Chargers, number 5 pick at -6. So let's go through. We can start on my top 5 picks for week 4 of the Circa Millions contest. And the first pick is, ta-da, the New York Giants +6.5. Why did I play the New York Giants? Some of the things I just said. I do think the offense won't struggle as much. I think Jackson Dart might open it up a little bit better. They're pretty healthy. They got their Andrews, their tackle back. Like I said, Scatabo, Neighbors is going to play. I did have some reservations because he wasn't practicing all week, but they've practiced throughout the preseason and they practiced, during the week. So they are familiar with one another, but I really would have liked it if Neighbors had practiced all week with Dart so they were on the same page. But I still think that, he's such a good receiver. He makes such good contested catches that I think he'll be okay. The Giants defense looking pretty healthy, and I think the pass rush is going to be able to keep them in this game. I'm not really sold on the receivers for the Los Angeles Chargers. They've looked good, but they've looked good against inferior competition. Not really like the Giants are, knocking people out. I mean, they gave up 40 points or whatever it was, 30-something points to the Dallas Cowboys offense. But, Pickens and CeeDee Lamb are pretty good. So and this is more of a contest play. I was very sure that Chargers were going to be pretty popular in this contest. And even if they do win, I don't know if they're going to win by margin. This is a, non-conference matchup, so they're not really, they don't see each other a lot. And I don't think the Chargers are really going to just try to blow them out. If they're going to do anything, they're going to try to win this game and get out of Dodge without any injuries. They've got a 3-game lead on their division right now. They've beaten all 3 of their division opponents, so not too bad. So first pick, the New York Giants +6.5. Next up, New England Patriots -5.5. I talked about it on Thursday. They're not a bad offense. Penalties are hurting them. Missed tackles on defense are hurting them. But they're one of the better teams sacking the quarterback now. They're really good against the run. They're getting back Gonzalez, I believe, in the secondary. They've looked good. They've created turnovers. And now they're taking on the Carolina Panthers at home, who just beat the Falcons 30-0. Everybody saw the final score. But the box score, if you look at it, the Atlanta Falcons outgained them in the offensive metrics. They just too many turnovers and too many 3rd down and 4th downs that they didn't convert. That just cost them in that game. It wasn't a very good performance by Atlanta. I don't really think it was a great performance by the Carolina Panthers. Might have been some good game planning, but that's about it. But the penalties can be cleaned up. The tackling's getting better. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as Chuba Hubbard's been banged up. I know he's playing, and so is Tet McMillan, but if they can get pressure on Bryce Young and if they can slow down the running game, then the play action isn't there, and that's where Bryce Young, is at his best because he's too short. He needs time to see over that line, and he needs windows in between those big bodies up front in order to see downfield. So I think the Patriots can cover this one. I expected the Carolina Panthers to be the more popular side, and they are getting a more of the tickets and more of the money than the New England Patriots because nobody's wanting to lay 5.5 with a team that lost and had 5 turnovers, 5 fumbles last week against the Steelers. But it's just such a fluky game. Same thing with Carolina's game. It was such a fluky game that I'm fading one of the teams that looked the best last week while taking a team that won in a very freakish way, or lost in a very freakish way. I mean, even with all the 5 fumbles, they still had an opportunity to win that game. 2 of them were inside their 5-yard line where they were going in for points. So I think they're getting their act together. This is a team that was just put together, a lot of free agents, new coaching staff, and they're also playing for their defensive coordinator. I forgot that he was just diagnosed with prostate cancer, and when you've got a group of players, motivated more than just to win the game for themselves, but they're trying to, help get the morale up of their coach who's dealing with a very serious health issue all of a sudden. I think that could be a big factor in this game. I think Carolina Panthers they're fat and happy after that nice win last week. They're maybe reading the headlines a little bit, thinking they're a better team than they are. I think they're going to lose. They'll lose by 7 or more to New England. It won't be an easy sweat. It's going to be a sweat, though. I'm sure it'll come down to them needing to stop Carolina from scoring at the end of the game to get within the number. But I'm willing to lay the 5.5 with New England here. So that is my second pick. New England Patriots minus 5.5. Next up, we talked about it before. And normally, again, I don't use them, but so they've won once, lost once last week, and I'm going back to the well with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I liked them before the number swapped. I looked at the game. I watched the game back after the initial broadcast, as I do all the games, and looked through the box score, looked at the metrics, and the Falcons, like I said, they were better than Carolina. I don't know what was going on with the play calling, why they wouldn't throw the ball over the middle or really downfield. It was a lot of swing passes to the backs and a lot of out routes to the receivers. But I think they're gonna open it up. They got rid of their wide receiver coach and brought one of their other coaches out of the booth down to the sideline. So they had some communication issues. So they brought him down. We saw that too. That Penix kept trying to say, "Hey, I'm not getting the plays," and he just didn't look very comfortable. They were rushing to snap the ball, and he wasn't having time to diagnose the defensive front. So I think this will help with that. And again, Washington does have a lot of injuries, and as good as they looked last week against the Raiders, a big chunk of their success came from the special teams, and the Falcons' special teams are actually pretty good. Their field goal kicking's been the question mark, but their kick returning and their kick coverage has been really good. So I don't see them having that kind of advantage that Washington had. And being without McLaurin, being without Daniels for another week, being out without Noah Brown, there's several other, obviously they lost Eckler for the year. Being without all these key players, it's going to come back to hurt you. And, the Falcons just got to win this game. And this is must win. After losing 30-0 to your division rival, a team that you were a favorite of, Arthur Blank, the ownership is not looking too kindly on Raheem Morris right now. And so he may not be on the hot seat, but, they're getting ready to start turning the dial up a little bit. It's going to get warm. It's lukewarm right now, but it's getting it could be warming up if they lose this game. So there's a lot riding on this game, and the Falcons really need this. They need to get to 500, and get back on track with their offense. Score some touchdowns, man, and you don't have to worry about your field goal kicker missing kicks if you just score touchdowns, and I think they'll be able to do it against this Washington defense. So for my third pick, I went with the Atlanta Falcons +1, which ended up being the number 1 pick in the Circa Millions. Now, hey, last week the picks went 1 and 4, but it was the number 1 pick, the Chargers -2.5 that covered. So maybe we'll get lucky with that one. We'll have the number 1 pick cover. So my fourth selection for week 4 is another top 5 pick, and it's the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I understand why people would want to take the Colts. +3.5 seems like an easy decision, right? With the way the team's been playing, but that's what they want. Why hasn't this line moved? Because the sports books feel comfortable. They're fine with the number where it is. Now, a lot of the betting, it's been pretty equal. It's not there's not as much lean on one side. I mean, I know the Colts are going to be the more popular side, and they're going to need the Rams in like money line parlays and teasers and shit like that. So I wanted to go with the Rams because I assumed the Colts were going to be a more popular team. I really thought plus 3.5 with them, the 3.5 with the Bucks, and the 3.5 with the Jags were all really fishy lines. They just seem too good to be true, where you're getting over a field goal with teams that are supposed to be good. But the Rams are good, and I believe in Stafford and everything I said about the offensive lines. The offensive lines for the Colts, the pass rush for the Rams, getting after the quarterback. I don't know if they're going to be able to run the ball as well as they have. They just need to be able to play the RPOs right. And again, the Colts defensive front not really getting pressure on the quarterback. You give Matthew Stafford time. Devontae Adams is playing. Puka's playing. They looked good with their run game last week with Kyron Williams. So yeah, I'm all in on the Rams as my fourth pick in the Circa Millions contest. Now, my fifth and final pick for Week 4 is the Miami Dolphins minus 2.5 at home Monday night against the Jets. Jets look good against the Bucks, but they needed a bunch of special teams plays just to be in that game. And now they're getting Justin Fields back, but I don't see that as an upgrade. I understand he's more athletic than Tyrod, but he's also more reckless with the ball than Tyrod. And it doesn't impress me. They haven't been able to run the ball. They're not a very good offense. And this is like make or break for Miami. They're at home. Their offense isn't terrible. The defense for the Jets is missing some pieces in the second level. And I think they could be exploited because we know Tua likes to get the ball out quickly, get the ball into these speedsters, and let them do their thing. Neither one of these teams has an interception. And the Jets aren't really big on interceptions. The Sauce Gardner and the other guy, their other cornerback, they're not really ball hawks. They're not really. Now, I know the Miami Dolphins secondary is missing a bunch of defensive backs, which I found out. I mean, I knew Storm Duck was questionable, but I thought he was going to play. But it looks like their secondary is going to be thin. But again, the Jets are not some high-powered passing offense, so I'm not really concerned about it as long as they can play up to the level that they played against the Buffalo Bills. They've had extra time to prepare because it was the Thursday night game that they played in, while the Jets had to go down to Tampa playing that heat. And then, what an emotional roller coaster that was for them to have an opportunity to win that game, and then Baker Mayfield takes the ball down the field for the game-winning field goal, and they're flying back to New York on the plane, losing. So my fifth and final pick is the Miami Dolphins minus 2.5 at home, taking on the New York Jets. So again, my 5 selections are the Miami Dolphins, the Los Angeles Rams minus 3.5, which was the number 4 pick, the Atlanta Falcons +1, which is the top pick this week. Makes me nervous. New England Patriots minus 5.5, not in the top 5. And the New York Giants +6.5, who are contrarian to the 5th most popular pick. Those are my 5 selections for Week 4 of the NFL contest, Circa Millions. Hopefully we get a 5-0. Really, really need it. Really want to finish this first quarter above 500. 11-9 wouldn't be the worst thing because we could have another good week and be right back in the playing for the money, being right around the top 100 entries. But yeah, that's it. Those are my 5 selections for week 4 of the Circa Millions contest. Let me refresh this. Okay. we've got some other stuff here. But all right, so that is the conclusion of the NFL contest show, as we've got our 5 selections up. We'll be streaming after the Monday Night Football game on Late Night at the Lounge right here on YouTube. So be sure to join us Monday night, and we can discuss our results. Hopefully we're talking about a 5-0 and where we're standing and what we like for week 5. But now I'm gonna end the recording and stick around for the third quarter of these great college football games for the CFB watch party, and we're going to go over some of these selections from the other contests.